so much, Summer. All right, now I'm going to introduce probably a familiar face to everyone here, former Seattle City Council member Kshama Sawant, whose office led the fight to win the $15 an hour minimum wage and make Seattle the first major U.S. city to pass a $15 an hour minimum wage a decade ago. Please join me in welcoming Kshama Sawant.
Brothers and siblings, we're here both to celebrate a victory and to get ourselves better organized in this fight. As many of you know, people who are watching on the live stream, the Democrats withdrew their bill attacking Seattle's minimum wage. The bill would have immediately robbed over 200,000 workers, as Summer said, of at least $3 per hour of wages. Can you imagine robbing the most vulnerable workers of their wages? On Friday, Councilmember Hollingsworth, who brought that odious bill forward, backed down. This is our victory. It belongs to working people, to union members, to workers' strike back. As we celebrate, there are two lessons we need to take away. Lesson number one is that a class struggle strategy is imperative. It is not about negotiation with big business and the Democrats in City Hall. It is about working people fighting back. We made it clear that this attack on working people will have consequences. As we said, if Hollingsworth wants to have any political future, she should withdraw this bill immediately and apologize to our city's workers. The Democrat who introduced this bill, Hollingsworth, and others who vote yes on it, should be brought down in the next election whether or not this bill passes. This is part of what we need by a class struggle strategy. What we need to do is expose the Democrats and their betrayals of working people to the light of day and empower our fellow workers to fight back. Workers' Strike Back didn't seek private meetings with Hollingsworth and other Democrats to ask them nicely to not attack working people. It was that organizing and mobilizing of regular working people that forced the Democrats to back down. Working people have never won and will never win by trying to negotiate with the Democrats in private. We need to build our independent fighting capacity. Lesson number two is that we can't assume any good intentions of the Democrats or let our guard down. They are only backing off temporarily and intend to continue this brutal attack on working people in the coming weeks. Hollingsworth said as much. And the Democrats have already publicly declared war on the unprecedented renters' rights we won over the last 10 years. Our school year evictions moratorium, which prevents children and public school workers from being evicted from their homes during the school year. Our winter evictions moratorium, which prevents landlords from evicting their tenants during the coldest winter months. Most likely they'll come back with their new and improved attack on the minimum wage shortly after their August summer break. Workers' Strike Back is calling for a mass organizing conference on the first Monday in September, that is September 2nd. We need to get better organized now before they return from their recess to bring maximum pressure against big business and their political servants on the City Council, and we need everyone here to join us. This last week was a beginning, but we need a much stronger movement. If you're in a union, we need you to bring a resolution in your union against the attack on minimum wage. The reason Seattle has the highest minimum wage of any major city in the country is because of our movement's historic victory. Our victory a decade ago set off a wave of similar laws being passed around the country. To defend our minimum wage victory now, we need to look back at how it was won in the first place. We put 15 on the map by making it a central demand in my first city council election campaign in 2013. That same year that I won the election, workers in the labor movement won 15 and other workers' rights in the city of SeaTac. Immediately after I took office, we launched the 15 Now movement. This was a socialist and labor-led movement with rank-and-file workers, union members coming out in big numbers to get active in the fight. 15 Now held a series of mass organizing conferences, rallies, marches, neighborhood action groups. We brought hundreds of workers and young people into City Hall to speak fearlessly and put the Democrats on notice. This is what we mean by a fighting strategy. We launched a ballot initiative for 15 as a credible threat. If the Democrats on the city council didn't pass a strong 15 in council chambers, then we would pass one at the ballot. This is what we mean by a fighting strategy. The Democrats made a strategic, cynical concession. They did not feel they could fully oppose 15 because of the strength of our 15-hour movement and the critical threat of the ballot initiative. But what they did do was try to water down the legislation in every way possible. Our movement and my office defeated many of the loopholes. We won inflation adjustment, for example. It's also instructive what the Democrats have done nationally. Instead of Biden fighting to pass $15 an hour nationally, he betrayed working people. He broke the railroad workers' strike. He abandoned 15. He abandoned the healthcare public option, all within a few months of his election. As of last week, instead of $15 an hour, the federal minimum wage has been literally unchanged for 15 years and remains at an appalling $7.25 an hour. This disgracefully low minimum wage was not increased either by Biden or by Obama. The minimum wage was not increased under Trump either. Both the Republicans and the Democrats are parties of the billionaires. And they are anti-worker in every sense of the word. We're going to hear a lot about how this bill attacking our minimum wage and its future incarnations is allegedly about helping small businesses. As we said at the time we won the minimum wage, workers and progressive small business owners should join together and fight against big business, which ruthlessly targets both. My office called for a tax on big businesses to support any small businesses who genuinely needed help transitioning towards the new minimum wage. We also brought forward legislation for commercial rent control, which would make an enormous difference to small businesses. But the City Council Democrats, these false friends of small business, never supported any of that. Now, thanks to our Tax Amazon movement, we do have an Amazon tax, a tax on big business. If the Democrats are truly concerned about small businesses, they could simply expand the Amazon tax to support them. And they could, if they wanted to, just a thought, they could defy corporate landlords and pass commercial rent control. But of course they're not going to do any of that. It's all pretense. At the same time that they are attacking the minimum wage in the name of small business, the Democrats are getting ready to do the bidding of corporate landlords and preparing to viciously attack our historic renters' rights victories. Let's be clear, no business, big or small, has the right to exploit workers. And the way to protect small businesses is not by enabling further exploitation of workers. The fact is that working people and small businesses will always be struggling under capitalism because that is the nature of this rotten system. It's an engine for greater and greater concentration of wealth in fewer and fewer hands. Capitalism creates deep inequality, war, poverty, and environmental disaster. It offers no way forward for inhumanity. That is why I am a revolutionary socialist. Let's look at some other facts. Fact number one, the temporary low-tier minimum wage, which the Democrats are trying to make permanent, was granted to businesses with 500 or fewer employees. Would you consider a business that can employ 400 or 500 workers and make tens of millions of dollars in revenues and millions in profits a small business?
Nope. No.
Fact number two, businesses had a decade to prepare. Labor leader David Rohl, who played a key role in our movement to win the 15 wage, recently said, quote, "These guys got 10 years to get their act together, and if they haven't figured out how to run a successful business without screwing workers, shame on them. They don't deserve to be in business." End quote. Rohl also said, quote, "Undermining Seattle's minimum wage is political suicide for anyone who tries," end quote. And on that last point, our movement needs to send a clear message. If this attack on the minimum wage and tipped workers goes forward in any form, the Democrats who vote for it should be brought down in the next election.
Right.
We said that Hollingsworth should withdraw this bill and apologize to Seattle workers. She has in reality done neither. She has only said she will work on a new version of her bill attacking workers. She and other Democrats need to drop it entirely and unequivocally. Hollingsworth should not have brought this bill forward in the first place, and that itself was a huge betrayal of working people, and she has not withdrawn it, which means that Hollingsworth needs to be booted out of City Hall.
That's right.
For the 1,000th time, we can see the Democratic Party is absolutely no friend of labor. Working people need a new party. This is why my organization, Workers Strike Back, is fighting for a new party, not just in Seattle, but around the country. Working people need to get organized independently of these two bankrupt parties of the bosses. The labor movement's role will be crucial. However, we should be concerned about what has been a very limited and muted public response of labor leaders overall, with exceptions like Paula Lukajek, President WFC 1495, and David Rolfe, whom I already mentioned. And what's extremely troubling is that so many union leaders, including the leaders of the King County Labor Council and the leaders of UFCW 3000, which is the largest union in Washington state, endorsed Hollingsworth's campaign last year, despite the obvious fact that she was openly pro-corporate and anti-worker. Just as many prominent union leaders rushed to endorse Biden and now Harris, despite their betrayals of working people and their warmongering. We need to rebuild a fighting labor movement based on the militant rank-and-file methods that built it in the first place. We need to pressure labor leadership from the rank-and-file, including, as others have said, bringing a resolution into your union. We can't wait around for the leaders to act. There's a huge opening for working-class struggle at present, for unionizing new workplaces, for going on strike to fight for better wages and conditions. Polls show more support for unions than in decades. Many working people have come to the realization that working class power is crucial, that protesting won't be enough, we need strike action. And that strike action has to be coupled with breaking from the politicians and parties who have betrayed us.
That's right.
The genocidal war on Gaza is a case in point. The Democrats have gone from one warmonger-in-chief, Joe Biden, to another, Kamala Harris, in the blink of an eye. If we want to end the war, we need to shut down the boss's profit machine with mass strike action. To begin with, we need a one-day general strike against the war. And we need the anti-war movement to break from Harris and the Democrats. To say no to Harris, no to Trump. Both are representatives of warmongering U.S. imperialism.
That's right.
Right.
Workers Strike Back has been organizing to help build for the biggest possible protests at the Democratic National Convention, to demand an end to the genocidal war, end to all military funding for the Israeli state's war machine, and the occupation. We're calling for a new party for working people, and as a concrete step towards that, we are calling for a vote for Jill Stein in November as the strongest independent anti-war pro-worker candidate. You may not agree, and you may think that we should support Kamala Harris, but I would urge you to take a good look at her record and her unequivocal statements saying the exact same things that Biden has said, that she will back Israel and Netanyahu to the kill. The DNC is in the August 18th weekend. Thousands of people will be protesting. If you can't come to Chicago with us, please watch the rally on live stream. It will be on Tuesday, August 20th at 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Seattle time. And we need you to come to the organizing meeting for Workers Strike Back on Monday, September 2nd if you are in Seattle, and join Workers Strike Back. Solidarity.
Thank you, Kshama, and everyone again, both who's here in person and watching on the live stream. As Kshama and other speakers said, nearly every labor leader and union in the Seattle area endorsed Joy Hollingsworth when she was running for city council, and now she is blatantly attacking the lowest paid workers in Seattle. What do you have to say about it? If this candidate that you endorsed and you donated to and you helped get elected is now attacking workers and you don't say anything, then you are responsible also for those attacks on workers. And if the union leaders aren't willing to come out themselves and publicly demand a not just temporary but permanent withdrawal of all attacks against the minimum wage, then it's up to union members to force them to make it clear, unequivocally clear, that there's a democratic mandate from union members and workers in Seattle that the entire labor movement publicly oppose these attacks and say with one voice, hands off 15, hands off our minimum wage. So as others have said, if you are a union member, reach out to Workers Strike Back to talk about introducing a resolution in your union, how to organize and build support for it. If you're not a union member, but you're still interested in helping raise the alarm bells and organize to defend the minimum wage in Seattle and be part of this broader national movement to organize a political force that's actually fights for working people, then please reach out to Workers Strike Back, get involved, donate. If you can donate $15 today in honor of the $15 an hour minimum wage, please do that. If you can sign up for a monthly donation, that makes you a member of Workers Strike Back. We have monthly in-person meetings here in Seattle at the University of Washington and monthly online meetings for our members who are outside of Seattle. Everyone who agrees with what we're doing should get involved. And that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.